and hello and welcome to my new partner and my new opponents. All right, so I'm not a big believer in opening balanced 11-point hands. I won't say that's a matter of right or wrong, it's just not me. So if 2 we-1s passes, I am also going to pass. If 2 we-1s opens the bidding, doesn't matter what 2 we-1s opens, I'm not doing anything. So you'll find that, good players often will think about these things before it's actually their turn to bid. For one thing, that makes the game go a little faster, but it also makes life easier for your partner because, when your tempo is good, your partner doesn't have to worry about, the unauthorized information you may be giving them. I hope you may know what that means, because you've hesitated. Now partner feels bound to do something, to be ethical. If you can bid in tempo, all the more power to you. And, one way to ensure you can do that is by, trying to foresee your problems in advance so that you'll be ready when it's your turn to bid. Okay, now here, my partner has overcalled 1 spade, and I'm certainly going to raise my partner. Just a question of how high. Now, I have a maximum hand for a passed hand, so there is some case to be made for making an aggressive bid here. Perhaps I could bid 3 hearts, for example. If you play that suggested limit raise or better, which is a pretty sensible and pretty common way to play. I think in this particular case, even though my hand is arguably, in some sense, worth a limit raise, I'm going to take the low road. The reason is that I don't think my Queen of Hearts is really a full value. It's most unlikely that, my Queen of Hearts is worth anything. So, it's not really a 11 high card point hand. The other thing, too, is that if I have the sort of hand that looks like partner may need to, if he's playing in spades, take finesses in the minors, perhaps play for the King of Diamonds or the Ace of Clubs to be on side, and when the opening bidder is over me, the chances of those finesses working go down somewhat. Furthermore, although I do have a pretty nice hand, my trump support isn't that good. It's only 3 to the 10. And, in general, that's a warning sign. When you're thinking about whether you should make, an aggressive raise or not, maybe look at your trump suit as the deciding factor, that the stronger your trump support, the more aggressively you should raise. That's just something that, players learn from experience, and it seems to work pretty well. So, this may be sort of a cowardly action right now, but my instincts and judgment tell me that I should only bid 2 spades here and not 3 hearts as a cubit. If I'm wrong and if we miss a good game contract, I will certainly apologize to my partner. I'm actually hoping to have a chance to be the dummy because my voice is getting sore already and I could really use a hand where I don't have much to say. So that would be nice if 2 we-1s would pass. I'm normally a quiet person. I think I've probably talked more in the last hour than I, talk in most weeks. Okay, so this is, an area of bidding, competitive part score bidding, that's pretty difficult, and it really is, takes a lot of judgment and experience to get good at it. And, an idea that's become relatively popular, within the last 10 or 15 years is this concept that you may have heard of called the law of total tricks. It's something I won't describe to you in detail. You can, do a web search if you're interested or ask your bridge teacher, but it is a method that can be used to help you improve your judgment on competitive bidding hands. It's not, it's called a law, but law is sort of an overbid. Calling it the principle of total tricks is perhaps more accurate. But the basic idea is that in auctions like these, the main determining factor in how high you should compete is the number of trumps you have. So, if my hand was different and I had 4-card trump support, the law of total tricks would suggest bidding 3 spades here. And similarly, it suggests that despite having a maximum in high cards, that the percentage action is to pass because I have only 3 trumps. Now, that doesn't mean that there's any guarantees that come with this. Like I said, it's not really a law, but it does seem to work pretty well in situations like this. So, both the law of total tricks and my experience as a bridge player suggest to me that while we might make 3 spades and while they might make 3 hearts, I have a better chance of getting a plus score on defense. So I'm just going to pass, and it could be wrong, but I'm going to hope for the best. Partner still is alive, and he can also bid 3 spades if it's right, and it's possible he might be able to do so. But, as expected, 3 hearts has been passed out. Okay, so that looks like an excellent lead from my partner, leading a trump to cut down on dummies roughs. The one thing I'd be a little bit worried about is that diamond suit looks pretty strong, and even though I have 2 diamond stoppers, the diamonds are going to get established eventually, most likely at least, and whatever spade tricks we have, even if we can prevent spade roughs on the dummy, might eventually go away on the diamonds. Still, I'm kind of happy with the lead my partner found. It certainly looks like a better lead for us than, a spade, for example. Now, in trying to count this hand, knowing if your opponents are believers in this law of total tricks thing can help you, and knowing what your partner feels too. For example, the law of total tricks would suggest that if East had 5 hearts or 6 hearts, East should be bidding 3 hearts all on his own. So East probably only has 5 hearts if East believes in this law thing. Similarly, my partner Lukey, if Lukey believes in the law, and if Lukey has 6 spades, Lukey probably would have bid 3 spades because the law says to do so. So that means that Lukey rates to have exactly 5 spades, and there's 1 spade in the dummy, 3 spades in my hand, so Declare has a 4-card spade suit. It's kind of interesting that Declare has chosen to play another trump here. That suggests to me that either Declare's spades are such that, isn't going to try for roughs on the dummy, or maybe Declare is confident about setting up some tricks on the minors. If that's the case, I may have a bit of a rude surprise. It doesn't seem very likely because partner has to have some strength, but actually now that I think about it, and I really should have thought about this earlier, there's not very many high card points that I can't see here. So let's think about this. I have 11 points. Dummy had 10 points. That's already 11 and 10 is 21. My partner has shown up with the Jack of clubs and the King of hearts. So we're up to another 4 points is 25. So there's only, there's not that much left out there that's unaccounted for. Declare has the Ace Jack of hearts. That gets us up to 30. So, that's 10 remaining points to account for both my partner's vulnerable overcall and Declare's opening bid. And I think at least one of them is certainly making a light bid. Now, what inference can I draw about this last trick? I mean, one thing that's likely is Declare probably has a singleton club, because if Declare had more than 1 club, Declare might well have taken the club finesse. So it's beginning to look like Declare's plan might be to play on diamonds eventually. Either that or Declare's spades are such that, roughing spades in the dummy is not going to help, perhaps. Let's see. I'm going to play as high a club as I'm comfortable with there to tell partner that I like clubs. So I may learn something from this next trick, be able to figure out what declare's plan is. Okay, here comes the jack of spades. And this is going to tell me a lot. Okay, so declare has won the ace of spades and probably is going to rough a spade in the dummy now. All right, so could it matter what spade I play? Let's think about this. Might want to be, this is actually a more complicated situation than you might realize. It also might be less complicated than I'm making it seem. I'm not sure yet, but I'm a little bit worried that I'd like to unblock my 10 of spades to lead spades, through possibly declares queen, for example. Then again, let's see, could that be a necessary defense? Well, it's complicated, and I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it. There's also the case that, partner played the 8 of spades, and the 10 will only be a good play if partner has the 9, and, in theory, perhaps the 8 should deny the 9. So, it's really, this is really perhaps the only lesson you can learn from this is that even stupid-looking plays like this, can be relatively important. So, I'm going to play the 7 of spades, but I may have egg on my face at the end of the hand if the turned out to be necessary to play the 10. I don't think that's going to be the case. And I'm guessing, if I'm right about the singleton club in declare's hand, that declare will now be roughing a club in order to draw the last trump. The fact that this is taking a little while longer than I might have expected is a bit disquieting. Maybe the hand is not what I was picturing. Okay, the queen of clubs. Okay, well, declare did have a singleton club. So I'm going to clear up the spade situation for my partner, let partner know what's going on in that suit. I'm actually it's looking pretty good about defeating this contract. No guarantees yet. Okay. So we actually now, I know we can beat the contract 2 tricks, but I don't think my partner is going to be able to figure it out. I do have a complete count on the hat now. Declare started with 4 spades, 5 hearts, 3 diamonds, and 1 club. My partner still has a trump left, so my partner has a doubleton diamond and a trump, so we could get a diamond rough, but I don't think there's any way my partner is going to break the diamond suit because my partner has no idea that I have the ace-queen of diamonds, and in fact I rate not to have that given that I didn't really do very much bidding. So partner could get us an extra trick. It's not happening, and it shouldn't be happening. Meanwhile, I think declare might be running out of trumps. It looks like we're going to possibly beat this 2 tricks, because I don't think declare is going to have time to set up a long diamond trick. Yeah, so, I know now declare has only 1 trump left, so I'm going to force declare to play that last trump in a minute. And no matter what declare's diamonds are, where declare is not getting a diamond trick. my partner defended this hand very well. And I have the last two tricks. So it turned out my partner did not need to get a diamond rough after all, because with me having the ace-queen of diamonds, we ended up with the extra trick anyways. So very well done by Lukey. Okay, so let's take a look at the bidding. I was right that there weren't really enough high cards around for everybody to have a good hand. It turned out that both BJ Mew and Lukey were very minimum for the bidding. BJ Mew's opening bid, to me, is completely the right action in third seat. Third seat, you could shade your openers a bit, and BJ Mew has pretty close to a full opening bid anyways, and a very nice heart suit. So one heart is 100% right. Lukey has a hand that not everybody would overcall with vulnerable, but I think nowadays most experts would do so. Lukey has a light overcall, but because the spades are a pretty good suit, the overcall is quite attractive. So, both BJ Mew and Lukey were light for the bidding. I certainly can't blame 2-1's for bidding onto the 3 level. 2-1's hand was like mine in a way, in that it was close to a limit raise. And 2-1's, I guess sensibly, went low the first time the same way that I did. And then whether or not 2-1's was thinking about the law of total tricks, it certainly seems right to compete to 3 hearts. You have, 9 working high card points. Jack of spades is probably not worth much, and a singleton. So, can't blame anyone really on the bidding. It was pretty well judged all the way around that, I guess in spades, turns out we probably make 3 spades, unless West leads the ace of clubs somehow and gives East 2 roughs, which I don't think is going to happen. There's a pretty good chance we're going to make 3 spades. So, it's no disaster for East-West to get a small minus score here. At match points, it's a little dicier that, minus 200, it tends to be a pretty bad score that, but in an imp game, you don't really mind so much that East-West are sort of slated to go minus. So it's, the difference between 140 and 200 is not that big a deal. So, are there any more questions about that board? Yeah, so at match points we would have done extremely well because, even if we make 170 in spades, making in the spade partial, making 4, the 200 we got is better than that. So, at match points, I would think that, we would get close to a top board. Now, it's not because the opponents bid badly or played badly so much. It's just that, Lukey and I, it turned out we judged well, and my partner found an excellent opening lead and followed it up with perfect defense. So, I think, humbly, I hope, it sounds like, I think, we would have earned our good score here. It's not like the opponents handed it to us. Yes. So what Karen is saying, sort of pertains to this law of total tricks thing, that, what it's all about is how many combined trumps there are in the 2 hands. And, there are some rules like those that she's saying, that if if both sides have an 8-card fit, the law of total tricks suggests going to the 3 level, over their 2-level bid, if necessary. If your side has a 9-card fit and the opponents are at the 3 level, it's okay for you to outbid them at the 3 level yourself. It is a complex subject, and it's something that some people feel quite passionate about. If you find this stuff interesting, there's a great book about it by Larry Cohen that sort of explains what it's all about. And, I would strongly suggest that you get a copy of that book. If you're not interested really in reading a whole book, ask a local expert or ask a teacher, and you can get a more full description than what I just gave you.